Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here, and in today's video, I'm going to be talking through some player props I like on Prizepicks for today's NBA game on Thursday, June the 5th. We have the start of the NBA Finals on Thursday night, Pacers and Thunder, a matchup that, I don't think many people expected coming into this season. I definitely did not expect, the Pacers at least to get this far in the postseason. The Thunder, they were kind of a team that a lot of people thought would make it this far, but it's going to be an interesting matchup. You look at the Vegas odds, the sportsbook odds for this series. I mean, OKC is like minus 700 to win this series. So, the sportsbooks, they're not really giving the Pacers much of a chance at all in this series. We'll see how this series goes. Hopefully, it's a good finals. I mean, it feels like it's been 4 or 5 years since we've had like a really good finals series. Like the last few finals have not been very memorable. They've gone like 5 games at most. It feels like we haven't really had like a down to the wire game 7 finals in like a long time. Maybe this will be the year that happens. I don't know. We'll see. But I got some player props, guys, that I do like for this game on Thursday night, and we're going to be covering this final series pretty much all the way up until the end of the season. If this goes, however many games it goes, we're going to have a video for every single game. And right now, on the days that there is no NBA, obviously, Thursday we have NBA, but on the days where there isn't NBA, I am doing MLB videos. So be on the lookout for MLB videos getting posted on the channel the days that we don't have NBA. But we got an NBA game Thursday night to break down. I've got 2 player props I do like for this game. We're going to break down these plays, talk about why I like them. Now, before we get started, guys, hit that like button for me, hit that subscribe button as well. And if you guys are new here, and if you don't have an account over on Prizepicks, be sure to go sign up for Prizepicks. Use that promo code NOAH. When you guys do sign up for Prizepicks with my promo code, and place your first $5 lineup, you're going to get $50 instantly added to your account. Make sure to check out Prizepicks if you have not yet. Prizepicks does have a discount up for Game 1 of the Finals. Halliburton's points prop, it is discounted 4 points, so that is available if that's something that you want to take over on Prizepicks. But then I do also want to give a shout out to Sleeper, because we do have a partnership with Sleeper as well. You guys can go sign up for Sleeper. Use promo code NOAH over there. When you sign up for Sleeper with my promo code, you'll get your first deposit matched up to $100. So whatever you deposit on your first deposit, Sleeper will match that up to $100. You put in, you have 25, they'll give you an additional 25. Put in 50, they'll give you an additional 50. Whatever you put in on that first deposit does get matched up to $100 when you sign up for Sleeper with promo code NOAH. So check them out if you guys have not yet. And if you don't know what Sleeper is, they're a DFS Pick'em app. They're an app, on the App Store. If you have an iPhone, just download the app. Use that code NOAH. They're a pick'em app, so it's very similar to Prizepicks. You're picking more or less on player projections. You're building out your lineup. You can do up to an 8-pick lineup on Sleeper. You can win up to 100x your money. Go check them out, guys. And again, use that code NOAH over on Sleeper. But we have some plays here to talk about for this game on Thursday night. So let's go ahead and break them down, guys. So the first prop that I like is going to be a fantasy score prop. So if you are new to Prizepicks, or maybe this is your first time, I doubt this is your first time on Prizepicks, but if you're new to Prizepicks and you don't know how fantasy score works, click scoring chart. You can see how fantasy points are calculated. It's very self-explanatory. You can see how the points are calculated here. I started playing daily fantasy sports in like 2015, so I'm very familiar with fantasy score, fantasy points, how to project a player for a certain amount of fantasy points. And for Prizepicks with fantasy score, these are lines that Prizepicks has to come up with themselves. They can't just copy these lines directly from a sports book. So there's always going to be an edge with fantasy score. And the fantasy score line that I do like for this game is Alex Caruso for more than 20 fantasy score. So Alex Caruso, if you look at what he did in the Minnesota series, at least from a fantasy score perspective, he wasn't great. He only went over this fantasy score line, and I believe 1 out of 5 games against Minnesota. I'm going to take a look real quickly. Let's see. So he only went over this line in 1 out of 5 games against Minnesota. The last 5 is not loading for some reason. Let's see. I don't know why the last 5 on Caruso isn't loading. It's loading for every other player except Caruso. But over his last 5 games in that Minnesota series, he only went over this line 1 out of 5 games. But in the Denver series, in the 7 games they played against Denver, he did go over this line in 3 out of those 7 games. And then if you look in the Memphis series, he went over in 3 out of 4 games against Memphis. We saw Caruso do really good in the Memphis series. The one game where he went under, he only played 12 minutes, but he had 34 fantasy points in 22 minutes, 34 fantasy points in 23 minutes, 26 fantasy points in 26 minutes. Was really good against Memphis, a team that likes to push the pace and play fast. And that's the same thing here, facing the Pacers. The Pacers are another team. They like to push the pace. They like to play fast. They're one of the fastest paced teams in the league. So this is definitely a spot where I think Caruso is just going to have the ability to just rack up more stats, whether that's, maybe scoring a little bit, rebounding, getting some assists, getting defensive stats. Caruso is one of these guys that when he is on the floor, he can just do everything. He can score, he can rebound, he can get assists, he can get steals and blocks. He just has a lot of ways that he can get fantasy points. And it's going to be a good matchup here, I think, for him facing a Pacers team that, again, likes to push the pace, likes to play fast. Caruso just going to have the opportunity to get more possessions, more opportunities to get stats playing in faster paced matchups. Also, Indy, not known as a stout defensive team. Now, their defense has definitely been better, but I think this is a matchup that just sets up a lot better for Caruso than like the Minnesota series. I mean, Minnesota, really good defensive team, plays at a slow pace. That's pretty much the complete opposite of what the Pacers want to do. The Pacers want to run. They want to outscore you. So I think this does set up as a really good series for Alex Caruso. And we've seen the Thunder be very cautious with Alex Caruso's minutes this season. Like during the regular season, he wasn't playing like a ton of minutes, but they've started to up his minutes more in the playoffs. He's been getting more meaningful minutes. Now in the Minnesota series, he only had one game over 30 minutes, but that was basically the one competitive game that they played. Because like if you look in the Minnesota series, most of those games were blowouts. Game 1 was a blowout. The Thunder won that game by almost 30 points. Game 2, Caruso did play 24 minutes. That game was a little bit more competitive. It was a 15-point game, but Caruso did foul out in that game. Now, I'm not exactly sure when he fouled out, but he did have 6 fouls in those 24 minutes in Game 2 against Minnesota. And then Game 3 was another massive blowout. That was one where Minnesota won by 40 points. Caruso only played 10 minutes. Game 4, though, against Minnesota was a competitive game. Caruso did play 33 minutes in that game. And then last game was another blowout. OKC won big, won by 30. Caruso played 24 minutes. I think Caruso is going to play like 24 to 28 minutes a night in this series. Obviously, it's, this is it. Like, this is the finals that you got, you played your whole season to get to this point. It's time to like take off the training wheels for Alex Caruso. Let him go out there and play 25 to 30 minutes. Hopefully we get some more competitive games than kind of what we have seen. Like a lot of OKC's games this playoffs have been blowouts. Like OKC's been blowing out a lot of teams. I think this Pacers offense is good enough to hang with OKC. Now obviously OKC's great defensively, but I think the Pacers have a good enough offense where they can put up enough points to keep it competitive, I think. Now the market doesn't really seem to think that way because right now this game does have like a 9-point spread. But if it's even remotely competitive, I think Alex Caruso is playing like 25, close to 30 minutes off the bench. He's a guy that's very valuable for this team just because of how good he is as a defender. He's also a guy that can provide some offensive scoring. He can rebound. Again, he just does everything when he's on the floor. He's been a productive player from a fantasy perspective. In the regular season, Caruso did average over a fantasy point per minute. And then so far in the playoffs, he's averaged 0.94 fantasy points per minute. But he's a guy that we can project to average about close to a fantasy point per minute. I think he plays 25 to 26 minutes if it's a competitive game. I think there's a chance he could play more than that. 20 fantasy score, I just think is a little bit too low on Alex Caruso here. Again, he wasn't great in the Minnesota series, as you can see, but this is just a completely different matchup. And I think this is a series that sets up a lot better for Alex Caruso. So I like that as our first play for today. And then the other play that I like is going to be a prop on Andrew Nembhard, and we're going to take Andrew Nembhard for more than 4 field goals made. So there were 2 props I was looking at on Andrew Nembhard. It was his field goal, well, actually a couple props. His field goals made at 4, his points prop at 11, I kind of like the over on, and then his fantasy score at 23.5 was another line that I was looking at. But I decided to go with field goals made. So in the playoffs so far, Nembhard has pushed or gone over this line in 11 out of 16 games this postseason. So he's been pretty consistently getting 4 field goals made, in the playoffs. Now, obviously, this matchup against OKC is, on paper, not good. OKC, one of the best, if not the best defensive team in the league. I think this is going to be a really tough series for Tyrese Halliburton, though. Halliburton really struggled against OKC in the regular season. OKC is a team that they have the guys that, can stop Halliburton, whether it's Caruso, whether it's Lou Dort, whether it's Casey Wallace. They just have so many guys that can defend at a high level that they can throw on Halliburton. They put a lot of pressure on the ball as well. So I just don't know how good offensively Halliburton's going to be in this series. The sportsbook's setting his points prop at 17.5. That's definitely way lower than what we saw his lines at during the Knicks series. His lines were around like 20.5, 21.5 in the Knicks series. Well, now it's at 17.5. So clearly the sportsbooks, they're not expecting a ton of offensive success from Halliburton here. And if we look in the regular season, these teams did play twice in the regular season. Nembhard was really involved in those games. Got up 17 and 13 field goal attempts, had 9 and 6 field goals made, had 23 and 16 points in those games, played 29 and 30 minutes. Nembhard's minutes in the playoffs so far have been solid. He's averaged 29 minutes per game. Definitely could be playing more, but I think he has had some foul trouble issues. I want to say. I know like against the Knicks, he had a couple games where he had 4 fouls. I think game 1 against the Knicks, he had like 5 fouls. So foul trouble has been an issue for him. I think in this series, though, we are going to see Aaron Nesmith guard SGA and not Andrew Nembhard. Now, if Nesmith gets into some early foul trouble, then they might switch that up and then put Nembhard on him. But I think if Nembhard is going to avoid having to guard SGA, that should put him in a better spot to avoid foul trouble. And I think he's going to play like 28 to 30 minutes most nights. Honestly, he probably should play more than that so far in the postseason. Like if you look at his minutes in the Knicks series, he was playing a ton against the Knicks. 35 minutes, 37 minutes, 38 minutes, 29, 27, 37. Minutes were really good. Foul trouble could be an issue if he has to guard SGA, but like I said, I don't think they're going to make Nembhard guard SGA. I think it's going to be Aaron Nesmith that's tasked with that. And with this being such a tough matchup for Tyrese Halliburton, I think it does set up as a little bit of a better spot for Andrew Nembhard, who was really good in this matchup in their 2 games during the regular season. Again, Nembhard's pushed or gone over this line in 11 out of 16 games so far this playoff. So he's consistently been able to get 4 field goals made. You look at his points prop, which is set at 11. I just have a hard time seeing Nembhard not getting 4 field. Like if he scores 11 points, you would think he's going to have 4 field goals made, unless he gets like 4 or 5 free throws, which seems pretty unlikely. Because like if you look at his free throws made line, that line is set at 1.5. He hasn't really been getting a lot of free throws lately. Now, maybe today's the day that he goes to the free throw line a bunch, but you would think if Nembhard scores 11 points, it's going to have to come from at least 4 field goals made. And there are scenarios where maybe Nembhard scores 10 points and all of his points are like layups or 2-pointers, which, that would be 5 field goals made, but only 10 points. So I think, that's why I kind of chose the field goals made instead of the points prop on Nembhard. But I do expect this to be a good series for Nembhard. I think he's going to be able to be a little bit more involved offensively, just with how tough of a matchup it is for Tyrese Halliburton. And again, like OKC, if they're just offense can come out here and put up points, which doesn't seem like the markets, they don't have a lot of conviction on Indiana, performing well in this series, but we've seen Indiana's offense just time and time again go out there and just rack up a ton of points, push the pace, play like they want to. If there's a team that's equipped to stop this Indiana offense, it's definitely this OKC defense, which is why I think this is going to be such a fun series. You have such a great defensive team facing such a great offensive team. So this could actually be a pretty good series in my opinion. But yeah, we'll see how it plays out for this game 1. Again, guys, we're going to be doing videos all throughout the rest of the finals, so be on the lookout every day, or when we have games. I think the games are like every 2 days, I think is when we have, or every other day is when there's a new game. So be on the lookout for videos. Usually they're going to be posted the night before for all the finals games, and then on the days we don't have NBA, I'll be posting MLB videos as well. So check out the MLB videos if you're interested in that stuff. But as always, appreciate you guys watching these Prizepicks videos and appreciate your support. Make sure to hit that like button down below if you did enjoy this video. Make sure to hit that subscribe button as well. And if you guys are new to Prizepicks and if you don't have a Prizepicks account, be sure to sign up. Use that promo code NOAH. When you guys do sign up for Prizepicks, use my promo code. Play $5. You'll get $50 instantly added to your account. So check them out if you have not yet. But good luck, guys. Let's win some money here on game 1 of the finals. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.